where I'm at now, this is the third decade. First decade, philanthropy, giving, helping others, other institutions, hoping they'll change. Second decade, being our own knowledge producer, developing, being a scholar. And third is completing the work, because there's a lot of incomplete in the pipeline, things that will create major shakeups that need to be finished. And if I don't get to finish them, they'll go waste, because even if something is 90% done, the point is I know where all the moving parts are and how they fit. I have to put it all together. I need to not only do that, but I need to then do a transition to new leadership. And how do you find new leadership? I mean, there are two models of think tanks. We need to create a good think tank. And a think tank is not somebody who just has a manthan and conclave. That is not think tank, that's just a mela. That's a mela. You know, a lot of these gatherings and conferences, there is no continuity between conference N and N+1 the next year. There's nothing happening in between. People come, they have a nice interaction. After 3 days, they're gone, and a month later, it's all forgotten. And then until the next year's event, they are really doing something else in their life. There is whereas in your business, when you have a project meeting, and then next week you have another update, and then next week you have another update, it's not that in between you're doing nothing. I mean, the project meeting is to give a status report. But you are supposed to continue working, and next time you give an update, and then you give an update. That's how it works. It's not that you just have a one-off meeting, everybody bring their bagel and coffee and just brainstorm some ideas and then go back and not have to do any work. There's a long-term program. You have to be bringing about change. So the real thing to ask is, if you look at the history of any conference, any lit fest, have they had a continuity? Can they say that they've picked this topic and they've consistently worked on it for so many years and they brought about a game-changing impact? That is what you need to do. So we are trying to do that. I'll tell you an example. The Sanskrit book I wrote, The Battle for Sanskrit, which I mentioned a moment ago, it's not ended just with my work. That if I just did some book launches, all of that, interviews and good stuff, and then moved on, then it would not really make the full impact. So we conducted 2 big conferences, Swadeshi Indology Conference 1 and Conference 2, on exactly the problems raised in that book. You had to write original papers only on those topics. You could not write a paper on something else, even though you are very famous, we would turn it down. We only want to continue that line of thinking deeper. And as a result of these 2 conferences, we picked the best papers. We have published 4 volumes so far. This is all this year. And 4 more volumes are coming by the end of this year. You can buy this 4-volume set outside. Now, the 4 volumes, one of them, this is a volume on refuting the claim that Sanskrit is dead. There's a lot of papers on that. Refuting the claim that the Sanskrit is the basis for Nazism. These are all thoughts that important scholars have produced, and we are refuting that. Then there's a volume on refuting the whole theory of Shastra, which our opposing people have come up with. The whole theory of Shastra, looking at it as from social sciences and human rights and how Shastra against women, minorities, whatnot. These are very deep papers refuting that. Then there is a whole refutation of the various critiques and slander against Ramayana. Ramayana has become a topic of a lot of attacks against Ramayana, which are very common in the secular world and in the mainstream and media and all that. So this is a book which gives you a response to that. And then Rasa Theory. A whole lot of people have been writing on rasa. So, these people are very smart. They are not unintelligent. They are very well educated. They have a different viewpoint, but they are not fools. So we are giving a response to that. Now, the result of these 8 volumes that we are producing is that now, even if I'm dead, the point is there'll be 100 other scholars who are published in this area. They'll continue the work further. So they are the intellectual kshatriyas for that particular topic. So for each topic, if I have done a book, I also want to produce 50 to 100 good solid scholars, get their material in, promote them, make them important, teach them the debate skills, articulation skills. And so We're going to take my book, The Battle for Sanskrit, the 8 volumes that are produced by other people on the same topic, the 9 volumes as a set. We're going to put it in every library in India where they have Sanskrit. We are going to make sure every Sanskrit professor, the Sanskrit Bharati people, the whole Sanskrit Commission people, they're on board. And we are going to make sure that the next generation of Sanskrit scholars are inoculated. They understand all this so that when they go out, they're not easily vulnerable to be sucked into this. So this is the kind of end-to-end impact, which is a lot more than presenting a paper somewhere, writing a book. This is end-to-end impact. And that is what I'm looking for before I can move on to a different topic. So this I want to do for all the existing books I've written. This I want to do for all the new 15 books that I want to finish in the next few years. Each one of them has to go beyond being a book into being a movement with its own Kshatriya force of young scholars who put their name into it on their work and carry it forward. So what we are now talking about is a school of thought. That's the next stage. If you go around the world to the liberal leftist places in universities which are all over the world, I don't think there's any country which doesn't have a large number of these people. India has a particularly large number of them, but you'll find them wherever you go. And you bring them together into some conclave, gathering, meeting, even though they never met each other, and they're trained in different languages, in different countries, in different universities, by different professors, you will find there's a huge resonance. There's a huge resonance among them. So if you have 500 NGOs and think tanks and organizations similar to ours in the liberal left-wing space, and they're all working independently of each other, there will be some issues and contradictions and tensions and all that, but by and large, they're working together. Now, if you create a left-wing think tank like CSDS in Delhi, I'm just giving you one example, there's about 30 prominent think tanks, all of them are left-wing. If you create a left-wing think tank and you want to have multiple independent scholars, you don't have to worry too much about direct confrontation and contradiction because they're all learned from the same framework. They've all learned from the same school of thought. The foundation is like that. It's analogous to, in our situation, if you put together a lot of people into a think tank on Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, let's say particularly, and you just bring different experts who are all trained from various places. The point is that more or less they'll have some commonalities. They'll have common platforms, common understanding. They'll argue, debate, of course, with each other, which is healthy. But you don't have to worry about, let's work together, because they will be already together. There is a framework that Adi Shankara put together. Now, when it comes to modern times, we don't have a framework. We do not have a kind of what I'm branding and what I'm calling now and developing a Swadeshi framework, a Swadeshi school of thought, where, like Marxism is a school of thought, and you can teach it in many different ways, and tens of thousands of people have been produced, and it keeps evolving into various branches. We are now developing, the next thing we are doing is we are developing a Swadeshi school of thought. And in this Swadeshi school of thought, we're putting together a large amount of material, a lot of framework in a very systematic way. It's involving a huge investment, and we need a lot of funding and a lot of people. And this will cover several topics. It will not only be in books, it will also be in online e-learning courses that people can log on and take a course and understand these things. It will also be in the form of video clips that people who want just an average general knowledge can watch some videos and do this. So this idea of a Swadeshi school of thought is going to make our movement robust. So there will be a platform, an intellectual platform, and then there can be hundreds different groups, 100 NGOs, each going and doing their own thing. As long as they subscribe to this common framework, they'll all be able to do, so we can get the best of decentralization, which Indians like, and a common point of view, a certain minimum common point of view. The problem today is we do not have that common minimum point of view. So we have a lot of opportunism. Like we did a panel yesterday where some people were showing how other Hindu groups are actually counter to them. They are actually interfering with them and creating problems for them. That's because they have not been able to sit down and develop a common point of view, a common framework. So I am developing this. This is the next big challenge that we are taking on. And this requires a lot of people which we are putting together. And we think that on this platform, there can be several apps. So school textbook is an app, but it requires a foundation. When you're fighting for school textbooks, when you're fighting on caste somewhere, when you're fighting with the media somewhere, when you're fighting with the Indian Foreign Service, when you're fighting with the NCRT in India, whatever fights you are having, those are particular specialized applications of this common platform, because you have to all work off of some common ideas and common theories and common methodologies. So this is the cutting edge work we are doing. It requires people who put together many faculties. So many skills, many competencies. One is research for original knowledge. We can't just keep recycling each other's. People have to do heavy lifting and come up with original knowledge. Then we have to create paramparas by training scholars. If you produced a lifetime of knowledge and you are gone and you haven't got any successors, that's a waste. You have to train successors, people who continue in that line of thinking. Then we have to have curators, librarians, encyclopedia type people like Hindupedia here, who are curating this knowledge in an organized, referenceable way. Then e-learning courses we have to develop. Then journals and academic publications, so that there is respectability for some of these young scholars. They can become properly published scholars. And we need conferences for them. And then we need a lot of tamasha, mela, festivals and conferences, conclaves, gatherings, manthans, all of that which is going on. We need that also. But beneath that, we need a serious foundation, which these guys do not have. So many of our organizations, there are Hindu organizations, haven't created a robust foundation, but on top of, on a very flimsy foundation, we are going around having one meeting after another, but it is not sustainable. It is not something that has traction. Then you need, so we need a new generation of Shastra, if you will. Some of it, much of it English written. But that's Shastra in the sense, Shastra is not all Shruti that is eternal, that comes to the Rishis. Shastra, if you look at Dharma Shastra, many people writing new Dharma Shastras. Manu didn't write the first or the last. Many people writing new Dharma Shastras. You look at the Ganit Shastra, which is mathematics, you find that there are new ways of thinking about mathematics. It keeps evolving. You look at the Shastra on Ayurveda, and you'll find that it is not static. So I don't see that there's anything that says, okay, Shastra are there, you're not supposed to touch it. We are supposed to produce new literature, new Shastras, and this should be very rigorous work and checked out and debated and argued with peers. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here and also hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified. To donate, please click this button.